Hey guys, this is Wolfie here with part 1 of 2 and regarding a special presentation. This first part is for geared towards the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia Global players. And this first part is going to be tips, to get through the game without much hassle. And part 2, it kind of ties into this a little bit, but it's going to be one of those questions where some people are kind of debating whether or not this game really is as free to play as some people claim. Again, there's been debates on both sides. The first part, again, is towards the newer players. And being someone who's day one, has yet to miss a character event, has yet to miss a lost chapter, I just want to give some of my own thoughts here and there. How can one play the game, with the most fun, but not as much of the hassle. So, first and foremost, and before I go on, I do apologize. You might hear a cat meowing in the background. If that does bother you a little bit, I do apologize in advance. But the most important thing to know about the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia Global and any other mobile game with the gacha microtransaction / loot box element is to know your limits. If you spend whatever, whether it be real life cash or you're given resources at will, you're going to be hitting a roadblock in ways you may not think it's possible, but it is. So know your limits, know when you got to stop, know when you're going to be going all in. And I kind of learned this a little bit the hard way in sense of using resources, all that stuff, and more than once. So another thing to keep in mind, and again, this is regardless if you're free to play or pay to play, and especially if you're one going to the other. For example, if you're free to play, but you say, hey, I want to support the game financially, a couple of bucks here or there, or vice versa, if you're pay to play, but you no longer are able to afford to spend on the game financially, just, always make adjustments accordingly. Just don't do it just do a gradual stop at wherever. Then you find yourself at that position again at some point. So just adjust accordingly, but not drastic. Just do it gradually. And then another thing to keep in mind, and this is also important, is to take every piece of information you're given about the game, including the information that's data mined. And data mined is actually against the terms, it's against the TOS, so you might want to be careful when you're data mining, folks. And the reason why I kind of say this is Joshua from the Square Enix Global side has made a post on Reddit with the information from the terms of service that clearly says that, hey, we don't want you guys data mining. So, but yeah, take every piece of information you're given with a grain of salt. Because what may work for some might not work for you. And then with every unit, research. You could always go on Reddit for some information. There's some spreadsheets available, all that good stuff. But Reddit's not always the most reliable place. There's also the Cydia database website, which has some the important information you need to know. And I'll have the link to the Cydia database website in the description below. And I also have a few other websites. I'll explain it as I get to them, and I'll have the links to those pages in the description alongside the Cydia database website. So, like I said, there are other stuff I want to cover, but I'll get to it when I get to it. But yes, take everything you're given with a grain of salt, because what may work for me might not be for you, and vice versa. Your favorite is definitely not going to be the same as mine, and that's perfectly okay, because we're not meant to like the same things. And I always embrace that diversity with this game. It's that there are people who are Tidus fans, there are people who are diehard Squall fans, there are people who are diehard Lightning fans, there are people who are Terra fans to the grave. There are people who are fans of, let's say, Laguna, or Steiner or Beatrix. It's okay to have your favorites differ from mine. It's perfectly okay. And the thing is with meta units, and according to Grammarly.com's blog on the matter, it actually does stand for most effective tactics available. So, some people say it's a made up acronym. It's not. Sorry, folks. But yes, I'll have the Grammarly link in the description below to this one. And with meta units, meta will change on occasion. Because there's chase meta where you launch to get a good score. Then you have what's going on right now with Renoa and Gobez, where they hit twice and they hit really hard. Then you have coming up the support meta, where support units will actually be a better off than your DPS. And then there's also and there's even later on the Imperial meta. So there's a lot of metas going on. It's just that it's going to change so like I said before, you just have to make that type of adjustments and know your limits. So when it comes back to the 50-50 era, which is Crystal Strength 50, level 50, Crystal Strength 60, level 60, Crystal Strength 70, level 70, there's only, so you can probably tell, like, have an idea of how many gems per character. So when the game was in the 50-50 era, it was 500 gems per character, and that's because every 10 levels will get you a rank up and 100 gems. And this is clearly stated as a tip of the game, believe it or not. The 10 levels, 100 gems. So for the 50-50 era, it was 500 gems per character. For the 60-60 era, it's 600 gems per character. So, and there are people who have been released before the 60-60 era, so yeah, so you're not really, so there's not a whole lot of gems you're getting from there. And then 70-70 era, when that shows up on Global, it's 700 gems per character. So, and then the thing is with the pull rates, it is per pull. And this includes, so you can pull as many times as you want, but you may not get the weapon you want. And it doesn't matter how many pulls. So, for example, before the Mercy pulls, and what Mercy pulls is on Global is you spend 75,000 gems on a banner, but you do not get the EX weapon within the 75,000 gems. However, each of those multi-pull gems worth of pulls gives you around 20 of these green tokens. You get the 300 of these, you get the EX weapon you want. So that's the thing with the pull. So that's the thing with the rate. It is per pull. They do mention this in the game, and the percentages are like exact in the sense that they're not rounding it up or down. So that is something to keep in mind with that. And when speaking of per banner, and I did say something about the 75,000 gems, that's the desired number per banner of any EX weapon that you want. And that is minimum because, again, when Global gets into the more difficult content of the game and other stuff comes up where you have double EX banners, triple EX banners. And EX is EX weapon, I should clarify. So you pretty much should be having 75,000 gems per banner. And again, like I said, part 2 is going to go into the gems aspect of it. It's to help determine if this game really is as free to play as people claim. So, all that stuff out of the way, let me see if I have any further notes in my possession. And I think I do. When it comes to weapon tokens, we don't get these often at all. Because once every 8 days, we only get 3 weapon tokens. And that's something that's kind of alarming. To only have 3 weapon tokens every 8 days. And then you get a 4th one from the panels. So you're only getting about maybe 10 or 11 weapon tokens every month. And again, that's kind of low. unless you're playing using the weapon tokens for the 15 CP armor, and those are only 10 weapon tokens for a copy of that. So, and the thing is with the global schedule, in sense of what's coming, I highly recommend to only rely on the what, but not the when, because the when on JP may not be the same time as the when as it comes on global. Some stuff global has, JP doesn't have, and vice versa. So, and again, like I said, global is against data mining. There's information on Reddit that confirms this, and Joshua has made a post on Reddit with the TOS. So, when it comes to weapon tokens and also armor tokens, you gotta pick wisely with whatever you have. And that's because you get when it comes to the armor tokens, you have enough, but you have to learn how to, okay, do I want this person's 35 or do I want that person's 90? And the only way you can get to the 90 CP armor is gaining the passive from the 35 CP armor first. And I know this because Josh and Glacy did mention this on the Twitch stream not too long ago. It's also mentioned in the information for one of the character events on Global not too long ago. So remember, you got to get the passive from the 35 CP armor first before getting to the 90 CP armor. And with the 35 CP armor, it is 5 armor tokens per copy. For the 90 CP armor, you need 20 armor tokens per copy. You don't get any other ways to get more copies of the armor other than through the tokens. And see here, for the Ultimate Esper Trials, currently on the global, at the time of this recording, and I know it's going to change later on, but at the time of this recording, you will need approximately 1,700 points to get to 3 treasure notes, which is 300 gems, 370 tickets, and 5 armor tokens. And you will never be fully done with those Esper Trials. You will never be fully done and that's just because you have characters coming along brand new, or people you've slept on for whatever reason, and you just got stuff, got to get with them too. So, there are players on social media aspects for the game that are hybrid, meaning that they play both JP and Global. And like I said, take the information you get from them with a grain of salt, because they may suggest something, but it might not work for you. But also don't be alarmed by what they suggest at the same time, because it could be something you didn't see, and it's okay. That's how things go. So, and then there are periods of time where the Ultimate Esper Trials are not in their synergy period. So, in that case, you might want to take a Tome of Treasure. Not Tome of Treasure, Tome of Training. Tome of Training to get the needed points for your characters, which I would recommend. Whichever Esper Trial it is one character that's not the EXP times 2, but the other two are. To minimize the uses of the Tomes of Training, as well as the Books of Training. And like I said, when it comes to the Gacha Games website, there is a page on that. I'm going to have the link in the description with this particular page. This site has got some excellent tips of their own. However, I do want to warn with this particular website, some of the information is not up to date, because it doesn't look like they've updated much since around Fang's event. And again, like I said, when it comes to the game, take the information with a grain of salt. Above all, know your limits. And again, like I said, in part 2, which I'll edit this video on this. In part 2, I'm going to take a little dig deeper into the resources aspect, which I did mention here in this part, and figure out, is this game really as free to play? And some people claim it to be, because and the reason why I'm inspired by this is because there are arguments going back and forth saying it's not free to play friendly. Some people saying it is. Their games being so generous. So there's a lot of stuff, I'm like, I'm going to be playing devil's advocate for both sides of that particular part. I do have a couple of other videos I want to go into that's not necessarily related to, I know 2 of them are not related to the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. I know there's one other that's coming up right around in August. That's the 18-month review of the game, of this game. So stay tuned for all of that. And with Wolvie here signing off, I will catch you all on the flip side.